Breaking news has completely rocked the NFL world today as the Dallas Cowboys have officially named Kellen Moore as their new head coach, a move that has stunned fans, divided analysts, and sent shockwaves across the league in a way only the Cowboys can. Because when America's team makes a decision, it's never quiet, it's never boring, and it's never without controversy. And this one might be one of the boldest and most polarizing coaching hires in franchise history because Kellen Moore is not just any coach. He's a familiar face, a former quarterback, a former offensive coordinator, a once celebrated young football mind who was also heavily criticized, doubted, and at times flat out blamed for the Cowboys' biggest failures. And now, in a twist that feels almost unreal, he is back in Dallas, not as a coordinator, not as an assistant, but as the man in charge, the head coach responsible for leading one of the most scrutinized franchises in all of professional sports. A team that hasn't reached a Super Bowl in decades, but still lives under the brightest spotlight every single season. And the reaction has been instant and explosive, with fans refreshing their feeds in disbelief, radio shows lighting up with heated debates, and social media timelines split between optimism, anger, confusion, and cautious hope, because this is not a safe hire. This is not a predictable hire. This is a swing for the fences decision that screams Jerry Jones in every possible way. A decision rooted in belief, loyalty, and the idea that sometimes the person you let go is the person you should never have stopped believing in. And to understand why this hire feels so shocking, you have to understand the context of Kellen Moore's journey, because Moore has always been an unconventional football figure from his days as a quarterback when he lacked elite arm strength or size, but made up for it with intelligence, anticipation, and an almost obsessive understanding of the game, to his rapid rise through the coaching ranks, where he was labeled a boy genius, praised for his creativity, his ability to design explosive offenses, and his knack for putting quarterbacks in positions to succeed, especially Dak Prescott, who arguably played the best football of his career under Moore's system. But with that praise came intense scrutiny, because in Dallas, regular season success is never enough. And when the playoffs arrived and the offense stalled, when play calls were questioned and adjustments seemed slow or non-existent, Kellen Moore became an easy target, a lightning rod for criticism, and over time, the narrative shifted from young mastermind to overrated play caller. And when he eventually left the Cowboys, many fans felt relieved, believing the team needed a new voice, a new direction, a clean break. And yet, behind the scenes, Jerry Jones never stopped viewing Moore as part of the Cowboys' long-term vision, because Jerry Jones has always been fascinated by offensive innovation, by quarterbacks, by the idea of outsmarting opponents rather than outmuscling them. And in Kellen Moore, he sees someone who understands modern football, someone who speaks the language of today's NFL, someone who can connect with younger players while still commanding respect from veterans, and most importantly, someone who already knows the culture, the pressure, and the weight that comes with wearing a star on your helmet. And this hire sends a very clear message that the Cowboys are not rebuilding. They are not tearing things down. They believe the window is open right now, and continuity is the key. Continuity with Dak Prescott, continuity with the offensive identity, continuity with a system that has already proven it can produce elite numbers. And that's why this move is so tightly connected to Dak Prescott's future. Because by bringing back Kellen Moore as head coach, the Cowboys are effectively doubling down on Dak, saying, this is your team, this is your offense, and now you have a coach who believes in you completely, who understands your strengths, your tendencies, and your leadership style. And while that brings comfort and confidence, it also brings pressure. Because if this pairing fails now, there will be nowhere left to point fingers, no coordinator to blame, no scheme to question, no excuses remaining. And that's what makes this hire so fascinating, because it raises the stakes for everyone involved, from the quarterback to the front office to Jerry Jones himself, who is once again betting on his instincts rather than public opinion. And inside the locker room, the reaction is reportedly mixed, with offensive players excited about the creativity and familiarity Moore brings, younger players energized by a coach who communicates clearly and embraces modern concepts, while some veterans remain cautious, knowing that being a head coach requires far more than drawing up plays. It requires managing egos, setting a standard, holding stars accountable, making tough decisions, and leading men who have spent years in the league and seen coaches come and go. And that's where the real challenge begins for Kellen Moore, because the biggest question surrounding this hire isn't whether he can design a great offense, it's whether he can command the entire operation, whether he can make the tough calls late in games, whether he can adapt when opponents take away his favorite concepts, whether he can grow beyond the tendencies that once defined him, and whether he can thrive under the relentless spotlight that comes with being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, a job where every decision is dissected, every loss is magnified, and every mistake becomes national news. And yet, despite all the doubts, there is a genuine sense of intrigue because Moore has had time to reflect, to learn, to evolve. And many around the league believe he is not the same coach he was years ago, that he has gained perspective, improved his leadership skills, and developed a deeper understanding of situational football. And if that growth is real, if the lessons from past failures have truly been absorbed, this could end up being one of those hires that looks questionable at first, but brilliant in hindsight. The kind of move people mock today and praise years later, because sometimes success in the NFL comes from timing, from patience, and from trusting development rather than chasing the hottest name on the market. And that's what makes this story so compelling. Because it's not just about a coach getting another chance. It's about belief, redemption, and the willingness to embrace risk in pursuit of greatness. And whether you love this hire or hate it, one thing is undeniable. It has everyone talking, it has reignited passion and debate within the fan base, and it has ensured that all eyes will be on Dallas from the very first snap of the season, because Kellen Moore now carries the hopes, expectations, and frustrations of Cowboys Nation on his shoulders. And the next chapter of this franchise will be written by a coach who knows exactly how high the stakes are, how loud the critics can be, and how sweet the reward would be if he succeeds. Because if Kellen Moore can lead the Cowboys deep into the playoffs, if he can finally break through the barriers that have haunted this team for years, this hire will be remembered as bold, visionary, and ahead of its time. But if the same issues resurface, if the offense falters when it matters most, and if the Cowboys once again fall short of their championship dreams, this decision will be replayed, debated, and criticized for years to come, making this one of the most fascinating and pressure-filled coaching stories the NFL has seen in a long time. And now the countdown begins, because talking is over, reactions have been made, opinions are locked in, and the only thing left to do is watch how this gamble plays out on the field, where legacies are built, narratives are shattered, and the truth always reveals itself under the lights.